So today, we will talk about the case of YRASUEGUI versus the Philippine Airlines. So Armando G. YRASUEGUI was an international flight steward employed by Philippine Airlines, or also known as PAL. The company had established weight standards based on height and body frame, and for YRASUEGUI, the ideal weight was set at 166 lbs. Despite being given multiple opportunities, warnings, and extended periods to reduce his weight over several years, he consistently failed to meet the requirement. So consequently, PAL dismissed him in 1993 on the ground that he could no longer comply with the necessary physical qualifications for his position. YRASUEGUI contested his termination, claiming it was illegal, discriminatory, and his weight did not affect his job performance. To continue, we will talk about the issues in the YRASUEGUI case. So the main legal questions raised were whether failure to meet weight standards constitutes a valid ground for dismissal under the Labor Code, or whether PAL's weight requirement qualify as a bona fide occupational qualification, or whether there was an unlawful discrimination and whether the employee was entitled to restrainment, back wages, or separation pay. So next, we will tackle about the decision and the ruling of the court. The Supreme Court ultimately ruled that the dismissal was valid and legal. It affirmed that the PAL had the right to enforce such standards, especially given the nature of work. However, considering the circumstances as an act of social justice, the court modified the decision by awarding separation pay to YRASUEGUI, recognizing that the termination was not due to serious misconduct or moral turpitude, but merely for failing to maintain required physical standards. So the last thing we will discuss are the principles and doctrines applied. The decision relied heavily on labor law principles, specifically Article 2A2 of the Labor Code, which considers failure to maintain necessary qualifications as an analogous case for termination. The court recognized the weight requirement as a valid, bona fide occupational qualification because it is reasonably necessary to ensure the safe and efficient operation of flights, particularly in emergency situations where agility and mobility are critical. Furthermore, as a common carrier, PAL is mandated to exercise extraordinary diligence for the safety of its passengers, the crew, and enforcing such standards is part of its obligation. Finally, the principle of social justice was applied by granting separation pay to provide financial assistance to the employee despite the legality of his dismissal.